New research has revealed that the potential spending pool for the South African youth sits at around 303 billion rand per year. This is according to a survey conducted on nearly 3,000 young people between the ages of 15 and 34. Joining us to look at the trends around what drives the younger generation's lifestyle and spending habits is Ronen, founder and CEO of Student Village. Ronen, very good afternoon. 300 billion rand is a handsome sum. What do the young people spend it all on?
So this is a big number, and I'm sure it's a shock to everyone. So depending on where you are in the youth market, you will have different preferences. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So what you're generally seeing is younger scholars who have more disposable income or income that they get from their parents or family. And they are more interested. The biggest ticket item would be mobile phones and technology, which would be of no surprise. And then stuff like clothes, going out and experiences. But as you get older, so as you become students and more dependent on or independent, then stuff like groceries, transport, then things like fashion, going out, beauty, etc.
Now, how much of what they spend on or how they spend is an extension of how they were raised or an extension of their own families? I mean, at what point do they start making their own choices about what they want to buy or what experiences they would like to have?
So what we're seeing is from young teenagers, they're really making their own decisions. So what you're seeing in earlier youth is things called pester power. So when young people are pestering their parents to purchase a certain brand, but as they get older, their minds are malleable to new experiences and new brands. But what we're seeing that's very interesting in brands is that young people are making decisions on brands based on their personal values. So 90% of those that we surveyed, they need brands to align with their personal values for them to buy into them.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that sample group. It's 3,000, I think, is the number that I read in the document. Is this correct? How did you come up with a sample group? And let's talk about their demographic as well.
Yes, the demographic represents the country, and we looked at both scholars, those that are still at school, those that are studying full-time at university, those that are working and studying part-time, and then those in the older category which are working full-time.
Okay, I was hoping to get a little bit more intel on that because it still seems a little bit vague. I mean, you've got young students or young people that are in rural South Africa, in peri-urban, in urban South Africa, black versus white. Give us a little more detail or insights into that, please.
So in our report, which is available, we've got all the granular detail in terms of the exact percentages of color, age, etc. But I can tell you roughly that it's about 60% of students. It's all urbanites. So we're looking at youth that are in predominantly urban areas. But that's not to say that they live in rural areas. They come from rural areas. They're just studying in urban areas.
Now, one of the things that you also established from your research is that a significant number of these young people have their own side hustle.
Yeah, so side hustles have been the secret that has kind of been outed. So a couple of years ago, most people would not tell the employer, they wouldn't tell many people they have a side hustle. But what we're seeing with this young generation is that they're following their passions. They're generally using technology and their influence to set up their own businesses. Now, some of these are because of passion, and some of these are because of lack of opportunity. And so what I'm really kind of optimistic and excited about is that they are taking their own initiative. From our sample set, 34% said that they have side hustles, and that's either to live a lifestyle that they want to live, or it's to make up for what they're short of every month.
I suppose
or they need to contribute to the family's income.
Now, if I'm the owner of a brand, what sort of questions should I be asking myself in order to be able to produce, or at the very least reach out to these young people and get a share of that 300 billion rand.
Yes, so the one thing, and we cover this extensively in our report, is that you have to be able to listen in. You have to know what's really important to youth, what they value most, and that's what we cover. But just to get you, if you were a brand, what you need to do is know the priorities, know what values are really important to youth, and so they really value transparency. They value fairness, both socially. So they want brands to stand up for social causes. They want them to stand up for minorities. They want brands to be against racism. They don't want brands to be quiet anymore. They want brands to stand for something. And just so if there are brands that are watching, is that 72% of our sample purchase online. So that is a massive shift post-COVID. Also 79% prefer or are open to loyalty schemes. So they're really in for the value buys, and they're prepared to be involved in, or 79% are really keen on loyalty schemes in order to generate points or rands or bucks in order to get more goods. So really they're judging you. 90% are judging you according to your values and how you conduct yourself as a company and a brand. And if they don't like you, they'll call you out, and if not, cancel you.
Now, I'm convinced if we're talking about 72% to purchasing online, that it would suggest that the sample is fairly affluent. Is that a correct assessment?
Not necessarily affluent. It's just that things have changed. It's just that there are, a few years ago, there was big trust issues in terms of buying online. So they would browse online and buy in store. And what we're seeing, what COVID did, is things have just become just more accessible. So I can get deliveries for free. So we're seeing lots of university students and lots of young people ordering their groceries online instead of going into store. And that's a massive shift in and of itself. So they're big convenience junkies. Why do I need to waste time going in store when it can be delivered to me for free?
Well, Ronen, as founder and CEO of Student Village, appreciate your time this afternoon, and he was giving us that report on how young people between the ages of 15 and 35 are spending an entire 300 billion rand a year.